welcome to our planning today. And I am going to start with our reading lesson. I'm going to share my screen to show you how we plan for reading because our reading connects to our writing. So before we step into the writing, I want to show you how we got there. So when I first started homeschooling, I had I tried curriculum immediately. I know curriculum did not work for us. Most curriculums, if you don't know, they are built first of all for like one size fit all, even though they have that differentiation in there for different students. But curriculum is also built for a classroom of 30 kids or 20, however many kids that's in there. So people ask me all the time, how my plan is for my daughter to finish all through her high school skills by 14. So she can do the community college, do dual enrollment by 16, and then have her associates and then her bachelor's by 18. And a lot of people are like, well, how do we do that? Well, I'm not teaching 20 kids. I'm not teaching 30 kids in the classroom. So I don't have to spend a week on one skill and then move on. So what I did is I came up with a framework of teach how to teach all of these skills. What do they look like and how do they build on each other? So if you know how the skills build on each other, then you know how to teach the skills and you can apply them to anything, any book you're reading, any experience that you're having. And I'm going to show you how we're doing that this week. So we have three categories. We have basic, we have build, and we have meaning. So this is for reading. Reading skills fall in these three categories. Under basic, that's usually like kids, maybe if you're doing grade levels, that'll be like third through fifth grade. Students, they recognize and they identify, they notice the main ideas, they spot cause and effect, they're identifying their key details or what they read. And then we also have build. So what I do is, and build is more of that, like explaining their thinking. And then meaning goes into analyzing. So what I do is for each skill, I break that down what that looks like. So this week we are working on compare and contrast. For comparing and contrasting, for basic, that looks like finding basic similarities and differences between two stories, characters, settings, or theme. For meaning, it means analyzing different authors or media approach themes, comparing techniques, perspectives. That's meaning. That's when you're moving into like that later middle school or high school. And then build is in the middle. We compare how different stories express the same theme, idea, support comparisons, and specific details. The question I get asked a lot is like, how do you know when you're moving to the next level? Well, besides how the skill builds, also the text that you are reading. So the text complexity changes as you're going through these different stages. So we're in basic. My daughter is 10. And we are comparing, contrasting basic things, themes, stories, books. And I'm going to show you how we are doing that this week before we move into the writing. So the first thing we do is on day one is always a notice day. Just what we're doing every day. It can be watching a TV show. It can be what we're reading using her book. We're reading a Vanderbeeker series right now. It can be anything. We just notice on Monday because on Mondays that's also my plan day. On Sundays, we rest, and on Monday is an independent day for her. So on Mondays, that's when I prep. I do my house stuff. I clean up my house. I do all the things, and I prep for homeschool on Monday. So she is doing a lot of independent work. So what we do for reading is we just notice we'll watch something together. We do a read aloud every day. And so whatever skill we're working on, I will introduce that to her through those things. Throughout the week, we're doing activities. So one of the activities we're doing this week for reading is our story sort cards. She is reading the Vanderbeeker series. So this is what we're doing. She chose this book. She chose the first one, and now she's on book two. So we are using text to do as well as movies and stuff. So depending on what you want to do, if you want to just ease in with a movie or ease in with a TV show or a story or a conversation or whatever, or an experience to compare, contrast, that is fine too. When we do our story sort cards, we are actually doing that with two TV shows. So she's watching the Smurfs, and right now she's into the Croods. So what I did is I just simply created different cards. It has different character names. It has different themes. It has different settings. And I just went through simple. I created the cards and then I have some sticky notes and she is going after she watches those, she's going to put them into three categories. The same, what's only in the Smurfs, and what's only in the Crudes. Nice, simple activity. Another thing we're going to do is a Venn diagram walk. My daughter likes activities that's like outside of the box type activities. So we're probably going to go outside. We're going to get some, we have some chalk. We're going to draw a Venn diagram on the ground. And we are going to be comparing two books that she have read. She read the graphic novel Dog Man, and she is reading the Vanderbeek series. So we're going to compare and contrast the characters, the settings, the themes. You do not have to go outside and have chalk and stuff like that. You can also do it in a notebook. And I wanted to share this because a lot of people ask questions about the portfolio. How is it that but sometimes they have to submit stuff to their state or whatnot? We still keep track of everything. So I just want to share what our notebook looks like. It's all of the activities. All of the activities that we are currently doing. Let me unshare my screen so you can see it bigger. So we are doing all of these, all of our activities are in the notebook. She has some writing in here, the different skills that we are working on. As you can see, as I go through it. So this week, even if you're not an outside person and you don't want to have to go outside to draw a Venn diagram on the ground, we also use it. We also have it in our notebook. So that's something that we're going to be doing. We're going to just be comparing and contrasting the two books that she has already read. In addition to that, I'm going to show you my board I have right here. You don't have to use a chalkboard. We have a chalkboard and a whiteboard. It's easier. And sometimes we also have craft paper. We're going to be comparing what's same in the story, a trip to the beach and a trip to the mall. So we're going to be doing some storytelling on that. This is how we do our reading lessons. Whatever the skills we focus on, whatever the level they're on, we're on basic. Let me go back to sharing my screen. We're on basic. We're going to stay on basic the entire year. So she's going to be covering the skills that she would have learned in third through fifth grade over a year's time. And we're going to just repeat those skills as many times as we need to. And that's what we're going to be doing like this week for reading. It's simple. She's still mastering the skills. She's still understanding the concept of what compare and contrast is. And it goes beyond just what's alike and what's different. When we start touching that in these texts, we're going to be able to dig deeper through conversation. Conversation is a big thing we do in reading. We do read alouds. A lot of times I'm reading, sometimes she's reading. She has to read every day for 20 minutes in general, but I also like to do read aloud with her. So we're going to be talking as I'm reading aloud. I'm going to be asking her these questions. Let me move to the questions that we have. Who are the main characters in both stories? How are they alike? Their personalities, their actions, their goals. How are they different? How are the problems different? How do they solve problems different? The goal is to get her to think. Where does each story take place? When does each story happen? The time period. So we're touching on those settings. The themes. What lesson does each story learn? How does the story show up in the lesson? So a lot of people want to know, like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? So what I did is I just created something that you can adapt to anything that you are doing and still be able to teach all the skills that they need to know to be able to comprehend what they're reading. And it's one document that has everything that they need from ages 8 all the way through 14. And then for us, when we move into high school, we'll be doing dual enrollment at the college level. If you have a child that struggles, choose stories that has obvious differences. Like I know that sometimes my daughter, like she picks most of the things that we do, but I'm gonna go and look at an episode or pick something that I know that connects to maybe something we're doing to make it more obvious for her when I'm introducing it until we get into something a little deeper. Provide sentence stems. Sometimes our kids struggle with thinking, trying to get their thoughts out. So sentence stem does not have to be written down. If we're writing, I may have it on some kind of sentence strip paper or something like that. But when we're having conversations or when we're just doing the activities that I showed you, I'm going to just get her. If you give them something to get their thinking started, next time they're going to remember that. Well, maybe not next time. It may take them a few times depending on the child. But sometimes my daughter immediately, she got it. And then the next time she knows how to get her wheels turning by how to think because she remembers what we did last time. Use pictures, use illustrations, start with familiar stories. If your child is struggling, use some of those supports that's going to help them to get going. And then how do I know she mastered it? She knows how to compare, and this is just at this level. She has clear similarities and differences between the stories. She can compare the characters, she can compare the settings. Depending where you are, we do not have to take state testing in Louisiana. So we don't do weekly tests. We do not do standardized tests. I do not need to see what level or what grade that, she's on. When it's time for her to take assessments like the ACT or anything that she needs to get in college, we're going to go through test taking strategies. My company right now, we do ACT prep, and we have kids that have 4.0 GPAs. They're strong in their content, and they're getting 17 and 18s on their ACT assessment. It's not because they don't know the content. It's because they don't know how to take the test. So I don't need years and years of testing for her to be able to master a test to get into college. As long as she knows the content, she understands the strategies, she understands the skills, then I can she can go through a boot camp and get those test strategies and do great on that assessment. And that's what we're going to be doing for reading this week. It's simple. It's hitting all of the areas. We are going to still continue to do the basic level more than once throughout the year. So if they're not getting it all the first time, it's okay. It's going to come back around. The same way as if they were in a classroom, I'm going to put this disclaimer out there. You do not have to be a teacher to homeschool. I had to de-school myself in order to be able to homeschool the way that I know that she needed to learn. So, but even in the classroom, you have whatever. I was an ELA teacher, whatever I was teaching, it repeated. It came back the next 9 weeks. Then it came back the third 9 weeks, and it came back. Skills were not taught in isolation. So we're going to be touching these same skills throughout the end of the year before she moves on to the next level, which is the build area. Now I want to share with you how we are doing writing. So that's what we're doing in reading this week. That is it. And then we're going to move to writing. So for writing, and I want this writing document that I'm sharing with you guys. I'm going to actually give this to you guys. It's on my website. I sell it, but everybody that joins my Zooms, I like to give you guys something so you can immediately start working on something. So I'm going to go ahead and share what our writing document looks like. So whatever we're working on, a skill we're working on in reading, that's the skill that my writing is focused on. I get the question, well, how do you know? How do you come up with the writing prompt? How do you teach the writing if you do not have a curriculum? So I created this document that aligns with my reading to show you how to create a writing prompt. If you are somebody that does use AI, let me give you a disclaimer about AI. AI works better when you tell it what you want. But if you don't know what to tell it, it's going to give you something generic. And then you're going to be worried about, well, is my child learning or why they're still struggling? It's because it's just giving you something generic. So if you use AI, which is great, I use it for a lot of things, but with creating this writing prompt, you can go through these steps to create your prompt. I'm going to show you what I did. or you can just copy and paste it and drop it in AI and tell AI what you want it to do. So either way, either way, it's fine. So we teach writing through real life. This week, our writing is, I'm going to share with you guys. This is my daughter binder. Before we get into it, I want to just share, just how another way we keep track of everything and then how we get to her writing. This is a binder, and in our binder we keep everything. So these are her writing prompts. So this week, if you can see it, her writing prompt is on similarities and differences in the movie Matilda and the Vander Beekers book. So we are going to be looking for those differences and similarities connects to our reading using a movie that she loves to watch and the book that she chose. Now I want to show you how we created this actual writing prompt. So we always connect it to real life. We always connect it when your child, when it's connected to something they love instead of a random prompt, then they are more likely to be excited about it, be more involved. Let me tell you, that's half of the battle. If you can get them excited about writing, then you can teach them what you need to teach them. So we always start with something. So we have a movie and then we have a book that we're going to be comparing and contrasting the characters and the problems and the settings and stuff like that in the story. The first thing to do is understand how writing progressed from ages 8 to 14. You have the basic stage, still connected to the basic, the building and the meaning. What does it look like? From 8 to 10, simple sentences, short paragraphs. They can describe the events and the characters, but they may struggle to explain different ideas. It's okay. Spelling, capitalization, punctuation, developing ideas, jump around without clear transitions. That's what she needs to do. The goal for this basic stage is to help her to be able to tell me what happened clearly, in order, and beginning to end, or whatever the skill is that we're working on. So in this instant, it's going to be on comparing and contrasting the different themes, the characters, the settings in that story. So if you know what it's supposed to look like at every stage, then it's easier to create the prompt. So this is step by step how we're going to do this. We're going to start with identifying the reading skill. We're working on compare and contrast. Then we're going to choose a real life experience. We are doing Vanderbeekers because that's the book that she's reading. And we are doing the movie Matilda. Matilda is her thing right now. She watches it more often than I want to should share, but she loves it. Kids, when they find something they like, they keep watching it over and over. So we're going to be comparing in those. So that's the things we're going to use. But you can use movies, you can use shows, you can use books, you can use stories, you can use games, you can use hobbies, you can use outings, you can whatever it is that you want. And then we're going to connect the experience to the reading skill, which is compare and contrast. I'm going to show you the prompt too after we finish. So how do you write the prompt? You introduce the experience, you ask a thinking question, and you explain what to include. This was an example of one we did for Mario's Big Adventure. We had just saw the Mario movie, so we knew the second movie was coming out. So we watched the first one, we watched the second one, and I'm just want to go through the prompt with you. In Super Mario Brothers movie, Mario never gives up, even when people doubt him and odds seem impossible. So that was the first step, giving something about it. This was on our lesson on theme. His determination carries him through every obstacle and training failures to final battle. So I gave her just that little clip of, the overall of the story. And then she had to think of a moment in the movie when Mario faced a challenge and kept trying anyway. What theme does the moment reveal about perseverance, belief, or courage? And then write a short response explaining the theme of the movie and how specific scenes from the film support that theme. That's what we got from those first steps. And if you struggle with those steps, I also have something in here to help you with it. I'm gonna share as we get to the bottom. And then what to include in the response. I'm going to I included the theme statement. I gave two examples from the movies. I explained the connection and the real life connection. So all of these things need to be in it. Again, if you're somebody that use AI, you can literally just copy down, type in the skill, and it'll pop out what is it called? A pop out a prompt for you. And it'll give you all of these things. But it's important for you to tell them what you want instead of them just give you something. And then how we do our writing. So on day one, understanding the prompt, she answers the prompt on day one. That's what she does on Independent Day on Monday. On day two, we sit down and we revise it together. So that's where the teaching comes in. I allow her to grapple with it first. So when we get to day two and I'm teaching and I'm modeling, I'm going through those steps with her, she's having those moments, but she was able to think for herself. She was able to have the whatever problem she might have had, and now she can have that moment when, oh my God, that this is why I struggled here. So it's important to let your child struggle with it first, because that's building their thinking skills. Then she types it. And then we use for grammar, we don't have like a set grammar curriculum, but we use grammar edits. So we teach the skills through editing the writing. So whatever, after she types her version, and then I'm gonna share this. On that day when she types the final version, when you get those grammar errors that pops up, there's underlined in red or structure. We have Grammarly on our computer where it'll show her like this is fix it for whatnot. That's teachable moments, y'all. This is why this was highlighted in red. This is that's grammar live. And then we print it out and then we fix the grammar. We go through our using the grammar fix it process to identify the verbs, the noun, whatever we're working on. We're working on subject verb agreement. So whatever we're working on in grammar that week, we use her writing to do that. And before I share the writing with you, I want to go to share this with you. If you have somebody that struggles, if you're one of those people that has somebody that child struggles and you need to break down the writing prompt, this is how you deconstruct the writing prompt. I have step-by-step on instructions on directions on how you can do that if you have a struggling writer. And then on those days when you plan, if you don't know what that looks like, if you don't know what questions that you need to ask as you're going through it, then I have the plan of writing 5 minutes of thinking before you're writing, so you can just guide them through that process. And I have an example every step of the way. And then they write, and then there's their first draft. And then I have what it looks like from ages 8 to 11, 11, 12, 11 to 12, and then 12 to 14. So if you're not sure what your child writing looks like, and then the revise day. It's okay if you don't know the steps to revise. I have that in here as well for you to be able to go through that prompt with them. My advice would be, just like we're planning today, I look through it before I go into it. And I kind of, I know your child. You don't have a classroom for the kids. You have a few kids. You know where they may struggle. So you will know what parts you need to really like hone in on when you're going through the process. And then again, they type the final version and then we edit it for grammar. But if you're like, you know what, this seems like a lot, like I want to do the writing prompts, I don't want to use AI. Every skill in reading that we teach, I have created a prompt for it. So let's go through, this is one what theme would look like. This is one, if you're working with, well, the whole process, I gave the whole example through theme, so you'll be able to see that. But let me find it. Okay. Understanding characters and setting events. If you're working on that, here's a simple prompt. You can just drop in whatever your movie, your story, you can just make it fit whatever you're doing. But this example, when assigning this prompt, encourage your child to choose a specific scene rather than trying to summarize. But this is the prompt. Picture a book, whatever that book is, Vanderbeekers, or a movie, or a show. Describe who the main character is, where the story takes place, and what important event is happening. Explain why this is important. The who, the where, and the what. So you just have to plug in what you're using. So if it's hard for you to create a prompt, you don't know what it's supposed to look like, this is it. Going back to one of the previous pages in the guide, it'll tell you what it should look like, which you should include for each of the different levels. So if you need to say, give me 2, 3 details to support your answer, that's in there as well. And I give you this for every single skill. Again, if you're on here today, if you share your email address with me, you don't have to put it in the chat. You can just if you're coming through Facebook or Instagram, you can DM it to me and I'll send you this guide at no charge. But that's how we're doing writing. But I'm gonna go ahead and stop my screen because I want to show you the writing process. So we just started this one. So she did her independent. We doing market day this week, so we're kind of thrown off. So our days are thrown off. So we started a little late, but this was the one from this week. Her next step will be to sit down with me today and we are going to revise it. If you follow my Facebook page outside of the group, you'll see that we don't really stick to like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It depends on what's going on in the week. The only thing I do stick to is like Monday being Independent Day because that's my prep day. But I want to go through one that she previously done. So this was the one on following the journey from searching for her parents to finding a family. So last week it was on plot, and we watched the movie Annie. So this was her first draft, but after we revised it, she typed it, and as you can see, all her little grammar marks on there, her nouns, her adjectives. We didn't have any which clause we were working on. She has the skills that she was working on at the bottom. And then we identified it and used this, like we use this as grammar practice. So that's what it looks like every week for us for writing. Whatever our reading skill is, we build our writing skill around it. I'm going to share some sample prompts that we have previously done. I just keep them all in one document just to show you how we build it around everything we do. So this particular first set of writing prompts, we're building up to write a narrative. So instead of just doing one big narrative and her going through all the steps, learning all the components of a narrative, we break it, we teach it through the reading and through our writing. So this one was on a trip to the bakery. This one, she had sensory narrative prompt. So talking about like the senses, what are the things that, that you smell and you see, our five senses. The next week we did it on baking cookies with mom. Again, it was a story. Write a story about baking cookies with your mom. Start when you gather the ingredients and when the cookies come out the oven. And so we were talking about sequencing in here. She had to include dialogue. She had to include her sensory details. But as you can see, as we go through these, it's built around our day. It's built around our experiences. It's built around what we're reading. Same skills are being taught. It's just she's more excited about reading because of it. She's excited about writing. She did not like to read in school. Math is her strong subject. So when it came to reading, like it was like pulling teeth. But now she loves it because she's picking the book. And by me reading aloud with her on some days, that gets her more excited. Because sometimes kids are reading and you want them to read, but they don't understand what they're reading. So that's where the read aloud comes in. But as you can see, we have Weekend with Grandma, getting ready for market day, serving at church. All of our writing our prompts are built around what we are already doing. That's how we teach reading. That's how we teach our grammar. If you want to know how we do vocabulary, I did a vocabulary video showing all of the steps, everything we did for do we do for vocabulary and how to naturally build vocabulary, how to teach the context clues, how we teach the different word parts and all of those things. So that's what we're doing this week. This is how we do it without curriculum. Still, your child is still growing. They're hitting all the skills. They will not be behind. That's a myth. That's a myth that you have to have curriculum in order to be able to teach your children what they need. So I'm gonna open it up to any questions. If you are watching this later, I want you to just drop some questions under the comments in the video, or you can DM me or send me a message. If you have not yet signed up for our monthly newsletter on the website, because I send out tips throughout the week. A lot of the things that I do sell on my website, I send it to people that subscribe for free. So you don't have to pay for it, or you get codes or whatever. But I want to open the floor. Do you have any particular questions? That's how we're teaching reading and writing this week without curriculum.